A spooky hello to you. It's Angel here. Welcome back to my channel. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's Halloween and Samhain and autumn. I love this time of year. It means so much to me. Yeah, and for that reason, I've decided to do a couple of videos on the lead up to the 31st of October, which are inspired by the season. So the first video out is a VR to Tarot with Lauren, hashtag 13 Halloween Tarot. 13 prompts, obviously. Unlucky for some, not for me. Should we get started? Let's start with the first prompt. So the first prompt is, what is my favourite Halloween or autumn themed deck? And that's got to be this beauty. This is the Halloween Tarot. It's a mass market deck by US Games. I'm sure you've seen this deck. This takes back to being a child at Halloween. When I was a child, obviously I lived at my mum's, obviously. But I did live at my mum's, and we used to have Halloween parties every single year. So every year my mum would bring down a massive box of Halloween decorations, and we would decorate our front room, our lounge, our hallway and our kitchen in preparation for the Halloween party that I was going to have on the 31st. So we had this skeleton that was cardboard, and he used to hang. He was large. He was like, the size of an adult, and he used to hang in the doorway. And he actually survived a long time. I think he's actually still in my mum's attic in England. And my friends would turn up and we'd be dressed up as witches. And, we'd play party games and, we'd eat some spooky food that my mum had prepared for us. Had a whale of a time. And then at the end of the evening, or the end of the afternoon, late afternoon, my friends would leave, and they would get these party bags with some candy in them and like a little toy or something like that. It was great fun. I loved those parties. They were so much fun. And I haven't got any pictures here to show you, but there are a lot of photographs of me and my friends dressed up as witches. So yeah, great memories. This is it's a nostalgic time of year for me, and for other reasons as well. It's become like a very important time of the year. Moving on to prompt number 2. Prompt number 2, what card or cards remind me of the Samhain or autumn or Halloween season? I'm going to go with another memory, and I'm going to show you the deck, the Tarot V, which is a deck that I purchased last week for some shadow work, some intense shadow work that I'm going to be doing, or am doing, and I'm going to continue with after Halloween. Samhain. So these are the backs. I want to edge mine, which I haven't done yet because I've been too busy working with the deck. I'm having a whale of a time with this deck. I'm having such an excellent time. And the memory that this one invokes, there's two cards specifically that invoke this memory for me, are these two. I'm going to show you this one. This is the Ace of Pentacles. And when I was a young adult, Halloween, that we used to have a fort very close to us where I lived in England, and the fort used to have tunnels underneath, haunted tunnels, and a group of people would arrange a haunted tour through these tunnels at Halloween, and they would bring in characters or people to dress up and to scare people walking through the tunnels. So there might be like zombies or vampires or ghosts, or one year there was like a scary movie themed scary movie theme, and there was like characters from Hellraiser and different vampire films and things like that. And this wasn't for children. This tour was for adults. And the other card I'm going to show you is a card that reminds me of a memory I have at this place. So I was with a couple of girlfriends. We went on this tour, this haunted tunnel tour, and outside before the tour started, there was like an area where there was like some food trucks and like some fire pits to keep you warm while you're waiting for your turn to go through the tunnels. And we had been there the previous year, it's just like, people waiting to go on the tour. And this year, which we didn't realise, when we went in and we were standing there waiting, this group of people walked past us, and I didn't realise, but they were part of the actual experience, and they were dressed as vampires. And I didn't notice until they were right next to me, and they looked at me, and they showed their fangs and went, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't, totally didn't realise that they were part of the experience. And that was really fun, because then everyone was like, already on lookout, ready to be spooked by the people that we thought were just the general public that were waiting for their turn in the tunnels to go down to the tunnels and be, scared. Uh, so yeah, excellent memories. This kind of also reminds me of it as well. But another memory I have of the same experience. I went 1 year with my boyfriend at the time. We'd been together for 5 years, and um, we had heard from our friends that they were putting people in a coffin. They were picking out certain people that were like the most scared, and taking them, away from the rest of the party in the tour, and putting them in a coffin to scare them even more. And I said to my partner at the time, I said, if anyone tries to take me away, you have to stop them. I said, because otherwise, we're through. If you let them take me away, then we're over. And he was like, yeah, all right, I will. And they did pick on me, and this vampire tried to take me away. And my boyfriend at the time put his hand on this vampire's arm and said, sorry, mate, but, if you take her away, it's more than my life is worth. So he stopped them, which I was most impressed about. So yeah, great times, great memories, being both a child and experience Halloween, and being a young adult and experiencing Halloween as well. Halloween has changed for me somewhat now, I've got to say. Now I'm really focused on Samhain and my ancestors, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. So yeah, let's move on to prompt number 3. So prompt number 3 is, do you use Halloween or Samhain autumn-inspired themed spreads? Which I don't actually. However, speaking of ancestors, I do tend to reach out more to my ancestors during October, I would say, and around Samhain than I do any other time of the year, I think. These two, this is the Dream Keeper's Tarot. This is the Tarot of Mystical Moments. I've edged mine in Sharpie. This one was edged at the box. Both mass market decks. This deck is used for my maternal ancestors. This deck I use for my paternal ancestors. I was thinking of saying something else, but that thought was gone completely out of my mind. Yes, I think I remember what I was going to say actually. So I tend to reach out to them more. I think more for assistance, or for more assistance during the autumn and Samhain season, which I think is also because I am doing more heavy shadow work at this time of year, and I'm not very good at kind of reaching out generally for help or assistance. I'm quite stubborn, and I think, no, I should be able to deal with this myself. But at Samhain, I feel because the veil is thinning, I try. I'm really conscious of trying to make this contact and ask asking my ancestors for some more assistance with this heavy shadow work, and more so than ever this year with the shadow work I'm working with right now. So although I don't work with any spreads per se, I most definitely have dialogues with my ancestors at this time of year more than I do at other times of the year. So yeah, let's take 2 more, and then we're going to move on to the 4th prompt, which is, if you could choose one card to dress up as for Halloween, which one and why? It's a great question. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you this deck. This is the Black Violet Tarot, edged in purple, which is beautiful. This is the mass market version. There was an indie version. Now, I wouldn't say this is a Halloween deck. I'm going to use the word per se again, or the expression per se, but this deck has really, what's the word, enticed me into using it during this season. So it does feel a bit shadowy, I've got to say. The card that really has resonated for me, or like really, it's been a real epiphany, which I spoke about in a recent video, was this one, the Devil, this character. I showed you this in the last video that I did. I created some artwork around this figure that's like my self-saboteur, that's trying to keep me trapped. Yeah, caged, held back, restricted, limited, in my what I think is my comfort zone, but it's not. It's almost like a cage. It is a cage, and so this is the figure that I'm working. This is shadow work I'm working with right now, and so this card inspired that artwork, and therefore I think I would want to actually dress up as this character for Halloween to kind of, is it invoke or evoke? Not sure. I'm going to put the word on the screen. yeah, and maybe work with that energy a little bit more and a little bit more in depth. This is a great deck. I've been using this paired with the Soul Mirror Oracle. It's been blowing my socks off, honestly. And when I first purchased it, I had it on pre-order. When I first purchased it, I didn't think about it being an autumn deck at all, or like a Samhain deck. But oh my goodness me, it's like, you know, it's totally gotten its elbows out and it's sat itself in that place in my practice. I love it. Prompt number 5. Are there any Halloween, Samhain or autumn themed decks on my wish list? There aren't, actually. This one was on my wish list. I saw this on Lindsay's channel. I mentioned that previously as well. Silver Crow Tarot. And I got it. I purchased it because it's a mass market deck, and I was like, I need that deck. I want it. It's going to be mine. And I ordered it, and it came home to me. So this was the only deck, I think, really, that was on my wish list. I don't feel I need to purchase anything else. She says now. Wait till next year. There might be a change of plan. That's my answer today. Point number 6. Describe your favourite scary season movie or book using tarot and see if anyone can guess the film or book it is. So, let's see. These are from the Trick or Treat Tarot. I've edged mine in black. Here we go. I'm going to pop these out and let's see if you can guess this in the comment section. When I tell you what the film is, you're going to go, oh, sorry, I've just given it away, a film, but when I tell you in the comment section, you're going to go, oh, that doesn't mean anything about the film at all. But, you know, let's see if you can get it. So, yeah, there we go. The titles aren't relevant. I'm thinking about the images. Good luck. Comments in the comment section if you can guess the movie. I'm not going to give you any more tips. Prompt number 7. So prompt number 7, do you dabble in any other divination systems when the veil is thin? No, I don't. I actually use tarot and oracle to converse or have a dialogue with my ancestors. But apart from that, I think that's pretty much, I would say all I do. I do obviously light candles for them. I do have an ancestor altar as well. But divination systems, not really. So prompt number 8, what cards scare you and how do I deal with them? So I'm going to show you a deck that kind of makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. There's quite a few cards in this deck that makes me feel uncomfortable. This is a Tarot Oscuro. This is a mass market deck. I'll show you the box so you know what I'm talking about. It's this one. This is a mass market deck. I have read with this deck and the readings aren't as harsh as the images make. You know, the images make me feel uncomfortable, but the actual readings that I got from this deck didn't, you know, they were actually quite supportive and yeah, not as harsh as I expected, but there's a lot of imagery in this deck that makes me feel uncomfortable. So I'm going to put a warning at the beginning of this this segment to kind of, you know, give you a bit of a heads up for maybe some trigger warnings. This, I don't know why, I can't put my finger on it. This makes me feel very uncomfortable. This kind of thing as well, which I think kind of reminds me of some kind of horror film that I've seen previously, with things, you know, growing and protruding. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. This just makes me feel very uncomfortable. And this is obviously a great, I think would be a great shadow work deck. I haven't used it for shadow work, but to actually work through the images and to kind of pinpoint what it is about the images that make me feel uncomfortable. I don't tend to mind clowns. Warning for clowns if you don't like them. I don't tend to mind them, but this makes me feel really uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable. This one. And it's not about being the devil, it's just, oh, I don't know. And this one makes me uncomfortable. It's going to be a great shadow work deck, I know it is, but I don't feel brave enough to use it for that at the moment, to be quite honest. I'm currently working with shadow work, as I mentioned, with the Tarot V. And this feels like an shadow work for another time. Yeah, I'm going to say that. Let's move on to the next prompt. Okay, prompt number 9. What tarot superstitions do you believe or adhere to? I don't think I particularly adhere to any. I can generally say that not that I have anybody that I read for or anything like that, but I wouldn't be very happy if anybody, took hold of my decks or shuffled them or anything like that. Not that I read for anybody else, but I wouldn't be overly happy if somebody else picked the deck up and kind of, I feel that my decks are imbued with my energy, because I've obviously handled them so much, and that would really annoy me if anybody came into my space and picked up a deck to look through, that I hadn't given permission to, obviously. And I don't think I would give anyone permission to do that with any of my decks because, as mentioned, I imbue them with my energy. They're connected to me. Point number 10. What, if anything, changes in my practice during the Halloween, Samhain or autumn season? I would say shadow work. I do a lot more shadow work at this time of year. I don't mean to. It just appears to, or it just seems to pop up within my practice at this time of year. I'm obviously going back to, I'm going to have to go back to this again, aren't I? I know you've seen this. I know I've shown you, but I'm also working with my mausoleum at the minute, shaking up or exploring my mausoleum and the ghosts in my mausoleum. And that kind of is, that epiphany has come about since the beginning of October, basically. So I feel this is work I'm going to be working through during the dark half of the year. I've got no plans to rush through it. It's going to take the time it takes, and hopefully it's a continuation of my healing journey. Point number 11. Do you perform magic using tarot and oracle cards? I don't particularly. No, I don't particularly. However, there are certain cards in this deck specifically. This is the Tarot of Mystical Moments that I have a deep connection to, and that appear very often on my ancestor altar space, or that I pull forward when I'm kind of trying to have a dialogue with my ancestors. So, for instance, this card, let me just show you here. This card represents an ancestor guide on my mum's side, and this card represents an ancestor guide on my father's side. So I pull these cards mean a lot to me, and I pull them out during my work with if I'm trying to make contact with my guides. There are other cards, for instance, this card which speaks to me of my other ancestral guides that are coming forward to me. So this means a lot to me, this card. This speaks to me of I'm going to say a network of ancestors as well, so the same again. This card means a lot because it's a card that I get very often from my ancestors, which makes me feel like, although I don't always ask for their help, I'm not very good at reaching out for people's help, and especially my ancestors' help. I feel that they've always got my back. They're always with me, supporting me, protecting me. So this card means a lot to me as well, even in other decks, actually. Yeah, and this card actually as well means a lot to me. I did a meditation, which when I first started my ancestral practice, and I was doing a meditation which wasn't relevant to this card, and this card kind of flashed into my mind during the meditation. And the name Vivian and a ribbon also jumped into my mind during this meditation as well. So I felt like it was like I had connected to some kind of energy through the meditation. So yeah, these, although I don't do specific magic with them, they do play quite an important part when I'm working with my ancestors. Prompt number 12. What cards in the tarot talk about being haunted? So this is the Macabre Tarot. These are the backs. They are edged in gold out of the box, or gold gilding. So here we've got a selection of cards that I felt really speak to me of being haunted. The Five of Cups definitely speaks to me of being haunted by, sadness or grief that's kind of engulfed you, or not you, but one, and that there's something that you just cannot leave behind. You are still, carrying it with you. I think the Eight of Cups also speaks to me about being haunted. Something, that's you might finally be putting down or leaving behind, but it's been something you've been carrying with you for a long time that finally needs to be let go of. The Three of Daggers, that definitely speaks to me about holding on to something that's causing you pain that you really need to let go of. The Three of Daggers also speaks to me of almost like feeding your energy into that sadness, I'm going to say, or that heartache. and maybe keeping the experience alive in some way. That is definitely what Three of Swords speaks to for me. That's the experience I've had with that card. You know, almost like giving, almost like the Three of Swords being almost like an altar that I go to, and that I offer my energy to this altar space, which is not what I've meant to do, but that's, I've kind of feel like this altar space of the Three of Daggers is like sucking the energy out of me that I could be using for something more productive. So that's definitely a card that, you know, I think speaks to me of being haunted. The Devil, I would say, also speaks about being haunted by the things that, you know, are keeping us trapped, that we're keeping ourselves trapped by, I think. Keeping us in our safe space, keeping us seduced by, you know, shiny, lovely things that we think are keeping us happy, but they're not. I think that kind of speaks about being haunted. The Eight of Daggers, I would say, the Eight of Swords, I would say, is about being haunted, about being stuck and trapped. Especially the Nine, you know, this anxiety and fear that engulfs us. You know, it's that moment when you wake up in the middle of the night and you see those, you know, a shadow that you don't recognise, or you see, you know, something that really frightens you in the darkness. Yeah, it definitely speaks to me of haunting. And I think the final card which speaks to me of haunting is actually death. It's that daring to release, isn't it? And, you know, letting go to allow something new to come to fruition. And so I think, you know, this does speak to me a little bit about haunting and letting it go, letting it be free, and moving on. Does that answer the question? I think it does. Should we take the last prompt? I think we should. Okay, yeah, the final prompt number 13, is take out your favourite Halloween, Samhain, autumn themed deck, shuffle and pull 3 cards. Now, I went rogue, because I tend to go rogue, you know, from the get-go. This is the Haunted, Tower of Haunted House, I think it's called. Edgemont in Black. I haven't shown this deck on this video, so I thought, you know, I'm going to be a rebel and, you know, and shuffle this one. And I was slightly nervous about doing that on camera. I don't know why. So I shuffled it off camera. I'm going to show you the 3 cards that popped out. Oh, way up, that's the back. That's the front. Do you want to see the 3 cards that popped out for me? It was, my question was, well, there was no question obviously on the prompt, but I asked, what can I expect this Samhain season? Do you want to see? Do you want to see? These are the 3 cards I pulled out, which were very apt considering what I'm working with right now with my shadow work. We had the Lovers, this connection, this trust, this embracing. I'm taking this as embracing parts of myself, trusting myself, trusting the connection. The Tower, that mausoleum that needs shaking up and exploring. And the Fool, 3 major cards, can you believe it? So yeah, I think it's very interesting. The Lovers card never speaks to me of like a love interest. That's not the way I roll, man. I'm not into lovey-dovey stuff. So this always speaks to me of this facet of self-work that I'm doing, this connection to self, almost like this the portal being my relationship being my portal to wholeness. It always speaks to me of that, this trusting these other parts of myself, and making that connection, uniting with those parts. So yeah, and that's pretty much actually what I'm working with. If you've watched my previous video that I popped out last week, I think it was, my catch-up videos, I'll link them in the description box. You can find out a bit more about my mausoleum and my ghost that haunting that mausoleum and the work that I'm doing right at the moment. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to thank you so much for watching, spending some time with me. Keep a lookout or watch out for the other Samhain videos that are coming in the next few days. Otherwise, I'm going to, wish you a lovely spooky evening, and I'm going to see you in the next video, I hope. Toodaloo.